Released in 1988, The Terminator is one of the best movies ever made, and it became a huge box office success. The film was so memorable and amazing that even Congress took notice and decided to archive this motion picture. A couple of years later, it would be followed by Terminator 2 Judgment Day. To summarize, it was the Dark Knight of the 90s. Over a decade later, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines came out, and while it was decent, I can't help but feel that this movie is a result of a late and failed abortion by Orion Pictures, the guys who used to do Terminator films, as Warner Brothers decided to adopt and send out to the open while the ugly film should have been put out of its misery instead. And then Terminator Salvation, and the little that is said about that movie, the better. So when came success, pouring itself out would naturally come later on, as there is a barrage of Terminator games, which I'm surprised to say that a lot of them don't suck. There are games based on the premise of the Terminator franchise, and games based on the movies themselves. Some of them pretty good, actually. However, like all movie license games, there's always one that's bound to be the abysmal of the industry. Case in point, Terminator for the NES, that was released in December of 1992, which I always found funny because Judgment Day was already released, and hell, there was already an NES game based on it by LJN, which surprisingly turned out to be decent. Looking closer at the game, you'll notice that Bethesda Softworks licensed this game. Quite laughable considering that they would later make Oblivion and Fallout 3. Nonetheless, the creators of Beethoven 2nd will be relieved to know that they didn't do that horrible of a job on the game, because this game is far worse than Beethoven 2nd. In fact, just the introduction of this game alone, you can already tell what you're in for in this game. Riveting. To add salt on an open wound, the demo doesn't do you any favors as it just fails in itself. Now onto the game itself. As far as I can perceive, the production values of this game is astoundingly bad. For an NES game made in 1992, let alone a game made after Terminator 2 for the NES, I would expect something better. Oh, and if your game's presentation value is a lot worse than the worst LJN game ever made, you certainly have clinically insane issues. Now the sound in this game is next to non-existent. When you do notice the music, it's either the close to decent themes in the driving stages, which I'll get in depth later on, or the random beeps and boops you hear in the platforming stages. Oh, recall the trauma-inducing introduction music? Sounds a lot like the Terminator, doesn't it? The graphics are not any better, as they are just as appealing as dried-up dog shit. Ironically speaking, the color scheme is quite similar to said dog shit. The character sprites are not that bad, actually, but it looks like as if I'm playing a Codemasters game. Oh, you gotta love Radical Entertainment sprites of the Terminator, which is basically a recolor of the Guard in Super Robin Hood. Yeah, nice touch of originality, Radical. Why don't you make the AI double in a sack of nails while you're at it? Which they did. The AI in the platforming stages either hold still or bum rush you. No complexity, no inspiration, nothing. Just chargers and prayers. Not like the challenging anyway, because the moving enemies only come one at a time, and it only takes a couple of shots of your gun to take them out. Did I mention the faulty shooting mechanics? Whenever you're firing, Kyle here does an impression of Bill Clinton's secretary going down on him inside a desk, and then blows away either straight or at a 45-degree angle. You can't move and shoot unlike in other good games, say like Contra, Gunstar Heroes, Metal Slug, hell, even Mega Man and Super Mario Bros. In short, Kyle is a mere shell of what he was, as he runs and fights like a frickin' cripple. The platforming mechanics are as fun as walking through a field of rusted nails. It's quite faulty at best, and it's one of those types of fail-formers that make it to where the platform is walkable if you land on the center of it. Getting to those edges? Huh, good luck. You're gonna be falling a lot in this game, especially at the final stage of the future. Simply horrific, at best, with random spear patterns that penetrate your sanity when playing this game. Oh yeah, Kyle can walk about just fine, but the jumping is simply awkward. Sometimes you may overshoot or undershoot a jump, just trying to land, but the faulty platform mechanics will start to drain your lives and your mind to the point that you might as well have a bald head covered in blood because you would have ripped your hair right out of your skull by now. Before this, you have to deal with 2 driving stages in one, where you control the speed of your truck and your gun, all on the D-pad. Great control screen, Radical. Anyway, for the flying hunter-killer, speed up, 2 shots later, speed down, 2 more shots, speed up, and vice versa. While doing so, don't bother adjusting the aim of your gun, just spray away. For the mobile HK, spray and pray. Got any hair left? Okay, so now we're at 1988 Los Angeles, when the movie gets another big kick in the balls. Kyle's restricted to punching and kicking police officers, who are the most annoying enemy in the game, dogs, who are incredibly annoying, and punk kids who just stand there and do absolutely nothing. Dead serious too, I mean, look at what I'm doing. You could bonk me anytime now. Worst AI ever, if it even exists. So now you have to resort to punching cops who have guns who can kill you, but their arms and legs are apparently way too stiff to do anything because he can avoid any attack, by any I mean one, from this cop just by simply ducking. Challenge? Pfft, who needs it? So we climbed this ladder and, oh, what just happened? Oh my god, he actually did something? Well, thanks for carrying out your task so well, but next time, could you consider, I don't know, hitting me earlier? Anyway, now we go into this store where we finally get a weapon. Is it the pistol Kyle stole from the cop? Or the 12 gauge he stole from the patrol car? No, it's baseballs. You got to be kidding me. Baseballs of all friggin' things. I'm starting to love this game already. So after going through the store, getting killed by water drops in the process. Not kidding, it's a recolor of the sewer water in the future stages. Doesn't scream lack of effort at all, doesn't it? But anyway, you'll make it outside to where all your balls are gone. The ones in the game, that is. So you then move on to a very bland driving sequence where all you need to do is keep driving for a certain amount of time, and the clock stops every time you stop. Oh, while you can use your gun, it does nothing to hurt the Terminator. Wait a minute, we have a gun this time? You know, Kyle, for a soldier who was sent from the future to protect a woman who will be the mother of John Connor, who would lead a resistance against the machines who want to enslave or terminate humanity, you sure know when to use your gun to protect her. Ever considered using that weapon you got for the platforming stages? That would be really helpful. Radical Entertainment, what the hell do you take us for? Never mind. Now you get in depth, so moving on. Now you're at the police station, which the game has now dug deep to the polluted waters of Florida covered in turds. It becomes a very unnecessarily, horribly designed maze from here. The rooms are nearly identical, and even if you find a key item, whatever the hell this is, you won't even know what to use it for because the game gives you no absolute indication as to how to use it, and when you do, it disappears, so you have to go back to the room and just take a friggin' flamethrower to this great pile of horseshit! God, this game is awful! That's it, I'm done. Goodbye. So assuming you didn't lose your head yet, I gave in and watched a walkthrough, and I have beaten the stage, which follows, surprise, another driving sequence, which is more ridiculous than you could imagine. The road is so badly designed that I feel like I'm driving in Detroit. Now the Terminator is on a motorcycle trying to run you over, which doesn't make sense because wouldn't colliding with a car while on a motorcycle make you, I don't know, launch you right out of your bike? Whatever. So I'm on my last life, into a barrage of game overs. Dude, you're terminated! This is where you exploit the high scores to get more extra lives. Hold still and fire away. You may not damage the Terminator despite throwing out hundreds and hundreds of rounds, but at least you'll get your high score up to where you can gain extra lives, and you need these extra lives. And just go through the stage as normal. Now the final level. And in case you haven't noticed by now, I've already lost my head, so long story short, you lure the Terminator to the compactor, he dies, and you win. Big whoop! Now allow me to have this game crushed.
You're terminated, fucker.
Well, this was a disappointment.